imagine you get invited to a wedding and then you see your partner walking down the aisle, the same partner who was in your bed less than 5 hours ago. Diabolical. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Jess. I love K-dramas and I just want to chat about them. And if you're not new, welcome back. So today we are going to be talking about the new K-drama that just premiered, Berry Hearts, and we're going to be specifically talking about episodes 1 and 2. I'm in shock and I have lots of thoughts. So grab a drink and get comfortable and let's just chat about it. So the one thing that really drew me into watching this drama, aside from Park Hyung Sik, is the fact that it's written by the same person who did Money Flower, which I will say is probably my favorite revenge drama. Like, if you haven't watched it, I highly recommend it. So in the first 2 episodes, they really just focus on 5 main players in terms of this power struggle that's going to go on for the next set of episodes. So those are who we're really going to be focused on for this video. Our main lead is Dongju, who's played by Park Hyung Sik. I will say I need to get this out of my system now, otherwise I'm going to be really annoying for the rest of the video. But this man has no business looking this fine in this drama. Like, his height, the fitted suits, the way they styled his hair with the 2 little weird things in the front, and then like the way he's speaking as well. Like, he just looks so good in this drama. And I will say it's probably the best he's looked, at least to me, in any drama that I've seen him in. Okay, out of my system now, thirsting hours over, we can get back to the rest of the content. So his role in this drama, he's kind of like a personal secretary to the chairman. He kind of does a bit of shady stuff on the side. So if there's ever anything that the chairman needs taken care of, he's kind of the point person to do that, whether it's like blackmailing, bribery, or even punching someone in the face. He basically does it all. I also will say the first 2 episodes didn't really give that much context in terms of his background. Even one of the characters mentions that she has no idea where he comes from. The only glimpse we kind of see is at some point he goes to visit a church and he seems to have like a very familiar relationship with one of the nuns, which to me, anytime we have like a character who is very close to people in a church, it screams, according to K-drama logic, that they grew up in an orphanage. So I'm assuming that he either has no family or he is someone's secret child. The only other information that we really find out is that he has a girlfriend, which to me is the most egregious plot line in this entire drama so far. Okay, so let's talk about his girlfriend, Eunnam. So all of the scenes we saw between them honestly were kind of cute, but the fact that they kept showing the scenes over and over again, honestly, for a second, I thought that they were going to end up like killing her or something, just because everything was like super cute, but at the same time, they kind of had a sad undertone to it. It really isn't until the end of episode 1 where their relationship honestly just like falls off of a cliff. So Dongju gets invited to a wedding, which happens to be the wedding of the chairman's granddaughter. And then in walks his girlfriend. Like, imagine you get invited to a wedding and then you see your partner walking down the aisle, the same partner who was in your bed less than 5 hours ago. Diabolical. Like, what is she doing? And honestly, he was like super chill about the whole situation. Like, I know they were restraining him and all that, but like me, I could never. And then to make it even worse, they literally hooked up the night before, and she was the one who declined using protection. So I know 100% like that's gonna come up as a plot line in terms of she's gonna be pregnant and they're gonna be like, oh, who's the father? Is it the husband or is it her boyfriend that she was hooking up with right before the wedding? And it's not like they're the only ones who know about their relationship. Honestly, it seems like almost every single character already knows that they were in a relationship together and she was living with him even though she was engaged to be married. And I think that's why this plotline just makes me so angry and I just get hit so heated like thinking about it, because she was lying to him the entire time. She lived with him, knew she was engaged, and still never told him about her identity. This woman let him get a tattoo of her name on his wrist. Also, the tattoo was really, really ugly. Like, I don't know what they were thinking, but he got this tattoo and she knew at some point she was gonna have to leave him. And then I think she had the audacity to tell him to put the watch back on because she can't stand there to look at her name on his wrist. Like, you were part of that. You were complicit in this entire thing. And then a couple of days before they got married, they were kind of like in a bathtub together where she's like dropping like cryptic messages and saying that, oh, if we were to ever break up, it would be me leaving you. And then this man, this golden man, says, if you left me, I would be single forever because you are the only person in this earth that I want to marry. And she still left him. Literally still left him 2 days later. But overall, the whole situation kind of makes sense. Especially in episode 1, they kept hinting at the fact that he had the opportunity to go to New York and woo the granddaughter. But the day that he was going to leave, he ended up meeting Eunnam and then decided that she was worth going to New York for rather than going for this promotion, which is wild because they ended up being the same person. So honestly, if he had actually went to New York, they probably still would have fell for each other and he would have made it into the family, which is wild. And last thing I'll say on this, which makes it even sadder, is he was literally about to propose to her on the day that she got married. That's it. Okay, let's move on to the next set of characters. So the last 3 characters are pretty much like intertwined. So I'll just talk about all of them together. So we have the chairman's son-in-law, and then I'm going to call him Grandpa Prosecutor. Those are the 3 that we have. I'm mostly okay with the chairman. He seems really fond of Dongju. It was a little messed up that he invited him to the wedding, even though he already knew that they were living together. Oh, actually, no, wait. I remember why I didn't like the chairman in episode 1. So the chairman only has daughters, and this whole thing is about power struggle in terms of who is going to be the VP and who's eventually going to take over the company. And I just said he has daughters, right? But to him, he keeps saying, oh my God, like I have no bloodline, I have no sons, who is going to take over? Because fuck the women, I guess. Like, it doesn't matter. They are not allowed, even though one of them is literally fighting to be included. It doesn't matter because they were born women and only the sons can take over the company. And then enters the son-in-law. I hate him. So he's married to one of the chairman's daughters, but wait. So she was married before to his best friend, and then both of them were in, I guess, a car accident, but somehow her first husband, who is his best friend, suspiciously died, but he made it out alive and then proceeded to marry his best friend's wife and ended up in this family. Gasp. And then this makes him Eunnam's stepfather, which she absolutely can't stand. And she doesn't believe at all that her father's death was an accident. Now, my favorite part of this, honestly, the son-in-law, he's jealous. He's fuming. He's angry. He can't stand Dongju. And what has Dongju done? Nothing. He literally exists, and this man is so upset. And it's partially because the chairman favors him so much. The chairman treats Dongju, who is not family at all, more as a son than the son-in-law. And for that, he really just wants Dongju out of the picture. And every little scene with him is him just being like angry, like in the corner, just being really upset about the whole situation. So the chairman originally wanted the son-in-law to be the VP of the company just because he felt like, oh, it's time. He's been in the family for a bit. So he sends Dongju to conduct an audit, and the result of the audit was like, this man should not be VP of the company, specifically right now. And oh my God, the face crack on this man when he finds out that he is not going to be VP, even though he knew that the audit was happening. Chef's kiss. Amazing. It really reminded me of, if you watch Drag Race, I don't know why they do this to them, but every time they have a musical theater queen on the show, and then whenever they do the musical episode, they always don't crown the musical theater queen. And then we have this like great moment of their like face crack because they expected to win because they thought it was going to be handed to them. And then they ended up not getting it. And I will say that is probably one of my favorite moments from episode 2 because this right here is this man's village origin story, and he's about to team up with the villain, the real villain of the show, which is Grandpa Prosecutor. So before I talk about the prosecutor, there is one thing that makes this story even more interesting. I feel like this family is just so messy. Like they just have so much drama going on. So the chairman takes Dongju to a bakery after they have a conversation about trust and how much he trusts him, whatever. So when they get to the bakery, he basically like buys out almost everything in the bakery, and then we come to find out that the chairman had an affair with a newscaster, and then they had a son. So this man has a son. Again, fuck the daughters, right? So he has a son, and he wants the son to eventually take over the company. But the son has no idea that this man is his dad or that he's even an heir to the company at all. And at the same time, one of the daughters, who's married to the son-in-law, knows about this kid, but knows that the dad isn't going to like bring him into the family. He doesn't really know anything about that until someone mentions that, oh yeah, grandpa went to the bakery, and then son-in-law he's ready to throw hands because he's not going to let someone come in and take what he deems as his. Like, I want to feel bad for the son-in-law, but I can't because the story is just so good. Like, I'm actually ready for him to full on dive into becoming a villain because he feels like he's just worked so hard for it, and it's not fair that there's all these external factors who are not part of the family currently who are going to take over what he deems as rightfully his. So then we have the grandpa prosecutor, who I'm assuming that at some point they're going to team up and work together. So I will say, I really love this actor in like everything he's in. I feel like most of the times I've seen him, he's kind of like this sweet dad, like sweet grandpa. Not in this. I wonder if it was like in his contract that he has to show that he's like super fit despite his age, because I feel like every time I see this man, he is just in a white tank top, literally just showing off his arms, but he's doing a great job in it. Essentially, Grandpa Prosecutor takes shit from no one. He knows what he wants. He is not going to let anyone stand in his way. And he is the reason that Eunnam gets married to his nephew, because he specifically wanted his nephew to become a part of the family so that him and the chairman would be linked. So now the only person who stands in his way is going to be Dongju. And at the end of episode 2, he tried to take him out. So we're going to see what happens in the next set of episodes. There's also a couple of secondary characters that are introduced in the first 2 episodes. So I'll just talk about 2 of them because they were the 2 that really felt the most relevant. So first we have Eunnam's new husband, who I'm going to call Hubby Prosecutor. So he is the nephew of Grandpa Prosecutor. And I actually kind of like him. So him and Dongju are actually rivals. They went to high school together and they honestly don't like each other. So the first time we see them interact, Dongju punches him in the face. But I actually could see a bromance kind of brewing, as I actually feel like they have a lot of chemistry together. So we'll see how that goes, because he is the only person that doesn't know that his new wife was living with his rival. And then the next person we have is Hae-young, who is Eunnam's brother. He kind of adores Dongju. I don't really know why or how. I guess they just spent a lot of time together. So the scenario we see is them at a music store together, and he's talking to Dongju about the fact that he's gonna propose. And then Dongju is like, oh, do you want to see a picture of her? So he pulls out his phone, and Taeyeon was not ready for it. He was not ready for the person that he's about to marry to be his sister. And he couldn't say anything, obviously. So he just like has a shocked look on his face. So he also knows, in addition to like the fact that his parents know, literally just like everyone knows. So I'm interested in seeing his relationship with Dongju kind of grow, but also how he fits into the dynamic of this power struggle that's going to happen. So what are my final thoughts on these first two episodes? I'm going to say I'm really, really, really excited. I was so shocked and like gagged at so many things that happened within the first two episodes. And then like the preview for next episode as well. Like I feel like, especially since it's written by the same person for Moneyflower, I feel like it's just gonna get better and better. Fingers crossed though, because sometimes dramas do tend to disappoint in the end. So right now I have really, really, really high expectations for this. Well, episode 1 was a little too slow for me. I feel like I just kept wondering what was going to happen. I did think the show did a really great job showing the tension and then showing how characters felt about each other, not necessarily through dialogue, but through like their body language as well as like little facial expressions, that to the point where like if you weren't paying attention for even like a couple of seconds, you might have missed something. And the teaser for next week shows that things are really ramping up. I was promised a hacker plot line, and it seems like we're finally gonna get it, and we're getting more action sequences, because I know the beginning of this episode started with, I assume it was him being thrown into like the water. So it seems like we're going full circle and going back there. So I'm really excited and I cannot wait. And lastly, I've already said it, but I really like Park Hyung Sik. I don't think I've seen him in any role where I didn't like him. So I'm actually also really excited that he has taken on this kind of like darker role, which is a little different from, I feel like everything I see him in, he's more so like really cute, really sweet, and more so like the boy next door vibes. So I'm really interested in seeing him continue this like path of doing something that's like completely different for him. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. So I know usually I do longer form videos where I'm more so like analyzing the characters, the plot, just like so many different things about the drama. But this year, I actually really want to do things a little differently. So instead, I want to kind of like recap and react to dramas as they're airing every single week, which means that you'll be seeing a lot more of me. So I'm still working on figuring out like what the format will be, especially when I'm watching multiple airing dramas at the same time. But regardless, I'm really excited. I honestly had so much fun of kind of like filming and reacting to this. So let me know what you think, and I will see you in the next one.